you're gonna pick me. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of it has been said before, but also just like for confidence, to build confidence when talking about whatever it is that you're saying, because like, let's say if you had to do public speaking, but you came across as like really nervous and shy, you may be saying something very meaningful, but because of the way you deliver it, people won't really take it so well. So I think, yeah, like it's just important to be confident and stuff.
Two very good points there. Firstly, when you're speaking in public, you want to have a confidence about you. Even aside from speaking in public speaking helps to build a level of confidence within yourself that is applicable to many different areas of your life. And secondly, we always have ideas in our minds. Our minds are working constantly, but no one else can see into our mind. So the only way we can convey what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we're doing is through our words and our actions. This is also public speaking. To efficiently, effectively, and correctly convey what's going on in your mind, an idea, a thought, a belief, a feeling, you kind of have to be a good speaker, a good public speaker, to do that in a way that does justice to what's going on up here. So perfect. These are some of the things that I have noted down for why public speaking is important. So we've got socializing. As I said, public speaking isn't just speaking in front of thousands or hundreds on a big stage and hosting an event or delivering a huge speech. Public speaking is necessary in socializing, our everyday interactions with other people. You know, you're conveying what's going on in your mind and you're delivering it to the person you're speaking to. This is public speaking. It's also necessary for career progression. A lot of times you have to go to an interview, you might have to pitch something during work, or you might even want to negotiate a salary or something like that. This requires good public speaking skills. To do it effectively and efficiently, you need to have good public speaking skills. We've got adaptability. When delivering a speech, most of the time you won't know who your audience is. You don't know who's in your audience. You need to be adaptable enough to tailor your body language, your voice, sometimes even the content of your speech for your audience. Again, this has ripple effects in other areas of our lives. Adaptability is a huge skill, it's a crucial skill. It's something that is necessary in many different areas of our life other than just public speaking. We have leadership. Often some of the best leaders are good public speakers. Good public speakers a lot of times tend to make the best leaders. Why? Because they can accurately and adequately convey what's going on in their mind to other people. They can adapt, as we said earlier, they're good at socializing. All of this is underpinned by public speaking and good public speaking skills. We also have critical thinking. So being able to think deeply about what's being said, assess underlying assumptions, really think of the other side of the coin. This constitutes good public speaking skills. This is necessary and this is developed by good public speaking. If I'm delivering a speech, or if I'm writing a speech, I'm going to think about, how might the audience interpret what I'm saying? How can I best, most effectively, and more easily communicate what I have to say to the audience? Is there a way in which I should tailor what I'm saying or how I'm saying it? This is all thinking critically, and a lot of times we don't actually appreciate just how much critical thinking is required in public speaking. And lastly, as was mentioned before, confidence. Public speaking really helps to boost our confidence. When you can speak in public, you carry a certain presence about yourself because you don't have that fear of, disapproval or messing up. And even if you do, you found a way to kind of quell that fear, to quell those nerves. One thing that's important to note is that you will always be nervous when it comes to public speaking. If you're not nervous, the likelihood is you don't care. But it's not about completely getting rid of those nerves. It's about quelling those nerves and channeling them into making a very good speech. So these are some of the reasons why public speaking is important. So now we're going to go into the psychology behind public speaking. So the fear of public speaking is called glossophobia. According to some studies, there's this particular study done by the University of Texas, I believe. Glossophobia affects roughly 77% of the population. This is not 77% of the American population or of the population in the UK. This is 77% of the global population. At least 77% of people have mild or extreme fear of public speaking. And the history behind this is quite primitive, so it can often be traced back to our fear of disapproval from others. As human beings, we are innately social. You know, we go to school, we live in our families, we communicate, we work in bubbles, we have friendship groups. This is a testament to our social nature. We are social, we care about what other people think. And that's not inherently a bad thing, it's just kind of the way we're wired. So our fear of disapproval, especially when you go back to the primitive history, can have knock-on connotations for our opportunities and our survival and how we can progress in society. So being scared of public speaking is not something to be ashamed about, and it's not something that only you might suffer with. It's a general thing, and it has roots in a primitive history. There are also physical manifestations of glossophobia. So it's not just mentally that you're scared of public speaking. You also might feel your hands getting clammy, or your forehead getting sweaty, or your legs start shaking, or your eyes going blurry, or you get a headache. Some people even faint. There are physical manifestations of glossophobia, of our mental fear of public speaking. So how can we overcome this fear? Again, want to make it interactive. So I'm asking you all, how can we overcome this fear of public speaking?
I want to say you might have to do it more often, but
Yeah.
hard to do it more often if you don't want to do it. But I think in there somewhere, I mean, it should be.
Yeah. So practice, literally practice makes perfect. To build a habit, to learn a new skill, you need to practice. Practice, practice, practice. As you've said, sometimes you don't want to speak in public. You maybe don't have to go out into a crowd of hundreds and practice for the first time there. Speak in front of the mirror, speak to your family and your friends, practice what you need to say, especially if you've got a designated speech or you've got a designated reason for this public speaking, then practice what you're going to say. Very good. Any other ideas?
Can I go?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I would say like, what's the word? Yeah, well, it's like, justify the good reasons to do so. Like, obviously there's gonna be, oh, I'm scared, I feel uncomfortable doing it, but try to like, I mean, I don't know if this is gonna work for everyone, but try to like, create more good reasons, and I guess like think of what will happen after you do it. I think that's what can get you going.
Perfect. Good. So you want to amplify the positives. Life is all about your mindset. Everything has a positive aspect to it and a negative aspect to it. Instead of overthinking the negative, overthinking the fear, giving the fear center stage in your mind, try and think of the positives. Okay, why do I want to do this? What opportunities can this lead to for me? How will this help me become more confident? How can I wow the audience? Don't think about, oh, I might flop, or I'm scared I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. How can I wow this audience? How can I show my personality through this speech? Very, very good. Any other ideas? I'll start singing elevator music if no one gives any ideas. You guys don't want to hear me sing elevator music. Any ideas? Elevator music it is.
I think also maybe if you plan what you're gonna say as well, so you have an idea of what you're gonna say, and then also practice it, and then it'll be easier to do it.
Good. So just like, rehearsing and practicing, you need to know what you're going to say. You need to be knowledgeable on the topic. You need to be knowledgeable on the 5, is it the 4 or the 5 W's? Why are you there? When are you doing it? Who is your audience? What are you saying? All of that good stuff. The more knowledge you have, the less fear you'll have, because the less likely you are in your mind to mess up. So again, be knowledgeable about the topic. Be knowledgeable about the reason why you're speaking. Be knowledgeable about the engagement, your audience. Very good. Okay, so here are some of the things that I've written down. So there's 3 things that I would say: view of self, view of others, and knowing the topic. So when it comes to your view of self, I think there's a certain layer of confidence that requires unlocking when it comes to public speaking. Now, this isn't a level of confidence that's about, you know, I'm so powerful and I'm going to be great. Of course, think all of that, that's good. But the level of confidence comes from your view of self. Who am I? What is my style of speaking? Not everyone is going to be humorous. Not everyone has a humorous style of speaking. That's okay. You often see Obama when he does speeches. He's like, I was talking to Michelle, and terrible impersonation, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. That was supposed to be Obama. And typically he will include an anecdote or some humor in his speech, even if he's talking about something very serious. That is his style of speaking. That is who he is. I'm sure if you speak to him one-on-one, it will be a similar thing. Then you have other speakers. I can't think of another example. All I had was the Obama impersonation in the bag, and that didn't work out. But you think of some other people, and they're quite serious in their tone. They're more serious in the way they deliver a speech. Eartha Kitt, that's actually a good example. She's quite serious. She wouldn't really make jokes, and if she does, she's not laughing at her own jokes. They're not intentional jokes. These are some speakers that know themselves. They know who they are. And that level of confidence can't be undercut. One of the things that I believe you should never do is think of a good public speaker and try and impersonate them. I just tried to impersonate Obama. It's not gonna work. I'm not Obama. I don't have the same jokes as him. I don't speak like him. My temperament is very different. When you try and imitate somebody else, you then often think to yourself, what would this person do? What would this person say? How would this person move? These are things that detract from your speech. These are things that detract from you as you are speaking. Secondly, we have our view of others. So oftentimes we typically think that other people are a lot more harsh than they actually are. We usually are our own biggest critic. The audience is typically not there to see you fail. I don't know how many speeches you've been in where the host or the person speaking has maybe messed up a little bit and you get some kind of secondhand embarrassment. No one wants to feel secondhand embarrassment. Oftentimes that's worse than the embarrassment you get from actually messing up yourself. So remember, the audience is not there to feel embarrassed for you. They don't want to see you fail. They want to see you succeed. They're looking to see you succeed. So don't think that, oh, everyone in the audience is laughing at me, or if I mess up, this person. No, the audience wants to see you succeed. And also, even if they want to see you fail, even if you're speaking in front of a bunch of people that maybe don't have your best interest in mind, see it as your opportunity to wow them. As we said before, it's all about your mindset. Don't think of it in a negative light. Think of it in a positive light. How can I wow this audience? How can I wow the people that I'm going to speak in front of? By being myself. The more I'm myself, the more natural it will come. The more natural it comes, the more I wow the audience. That's literally it. And lastly, you want to know the topic. It's important to have some sort of knowledge on what you're speaking on, just so that if you forget what you're supposed to say, you can kind of at least go to something that's similar to the topic, adjacent to the topic, that you know off the top of your head, instead of standing there trying to think, oh, what was I supposed to say? I've forgotten my script word for word. Now I have nothing else to say because I had nothing else to speak on the topic. Excellent. So these are 3 ways in which you can overcome the fear of public speaking. Now we're going to do a little exercise. We have some common mispractice when it comes to public speaking. And this is common mispractice because people typically think it's a good thing to do when you're delivering a speech or when you're doing public speaking, but more often it's not. More often it's one of the worst things that you can do. Also, please ignore the fact that it says Old Mead Secondary School and Science Class. I made this presentation. I did not steal it from a secondary school. It's just a template on Canva. But yes, let's move on to our exercise. So I have 6 pictures here, and I want you to have a guess as to which mispractice the picture is representing. So feel free to unmute yourself and have a guess.
Reading too much from your notes, that book one. Looking too much at your notes.
Good. This one is looking at your notes too much or reading directly from your notes as if you're reading a book. So imagine I want to deliver this speech to you today, and even though the way I'm speaking is okay, like I feel like my tone and everything is fine, but I'm reading from a script. This doesn't look very open, and if anything, it doesn't even look like I'm talking to you. It looks like I'm reading a book or talking to whoever's on this page. Remember, you are engaging with your audience. You're communicating with your audience. Obviously, sometimes you need notes. Sometimes you don't remember what you're going to say, or you might not know what you're going to say until just before you deliver the speech. That's absolutely fine. But you can look at your notes, kind of skim it a little bit, then look at your audience. Always refer back to your audience. Where your eyesight is, there your focus is. You want your focus to be on your audience, the people that are actually coming to watch you deliver a speech. So I'm kind of looking here, but then I memorize a little bit and then I talk back to my audience. I kind of gloss over it a little bit. You know, you skim read, then you talk back to your audience. That is absolutely fine. But reading from a book, that ain't it. Excellent. Anything else?
Would you say clenching your fists?
Okay, good. Clenching your fists. So on top of body language, there's also hand language, your hand gestures. Typically, when men are nervous and are delivering a speech, they typically tend to close off their fists. I think it's probably a defensive thing, but imagine I'm delivering a speech and my fists are closed. That just looks quite like you ready to fight, like knuck if you buck. We're here to fight, we're here to listen to and deliver a speech. So men typically do this, and ladies, when they're speaking, they typically close their hands like this. So either you hold your hands like this in front of you or behind you, or you kind of like hold your elbow or something in front of you or behind you. This is very closed off. Body language is one thing, but your hand language, the way you use your hands, is another thing. Imagine I'm delivering a speech and I'm doing this, and okay, this is okay, but how much better is this? How much more open do I look when I'm opening out my hands? It's like you're receiving the audience and you're allowing the audience to receive you. You're not being closed off. And even if consciously no one thinks anything of it, subconsciously this has certain connotations and this has certain connotations. You look nervous or you look like you're on the defense. So open up your hands, open up your body language when you're delivering the speech. Very good, we got 2 down. Any more guesses?
I would say the stop sign is maybe like when you make a mistake, rather than continuing, like stopping in your tracks rather than just flowing with it.
So the stop sign is to represent like you don't want to ever stop. So I think that's what you're saying. I don't know which way around you're saying. If you're saying
yeah, basically like rather than continuing, you stop. Like this, you don't want to stop.
Good. You don't want to stop. You can pause, but you don't stop. There's a difference between pausing during a speech and stopping during a speech. When you stop, you've told your mind that this is it, this is the end. And typically the reason why we stop when we're speaking is because we've forgotten what you're going to say. But if you tell your mind, okay, this is the end, then your mind is not going to kick into overdrive and try and remind you what you're going to say because you finished, you're done. There's nothing else to remember. So remember, you never want to stop. If you ever forget, you can pause. And pausing is really good because it adds effect to your speech. It allows everyone listening to take in what you have to say, but you don't ever want to stop. Have it in mind that I'm pausing, I'm not stopping. Sometimes this is quite hard when you don't know the topic, but I'm going to give you an example. So I want someone at random to give me a very random topic that I might not know anything about.
Shoelaces.
Shoelaces, perfect. Okay, shoelaces. I don't have that much knowledge on shoelaces. I just know they tie your shoes. I'm going to give you an example of when you pause as opposed to stop, even when you've forgotten or you don't know what you're going to say next. Okay, so shoelaces. I feel like everyone knows what a shoelace is. I mean, they keep your shoes together. They have aglets at the end so they don't completely fall out of your shoes. But does anyone actually know the history behind shoelaces? I thought not. Nobody does. I didn't know the history behind shoelaces until 2 minutes ago when I made it up. Shoelaces were actually developed in Russia, 1563. Now, if you think back to a date that far, you would think, why would they have need for shoelaces? Surely everyone wears sandals. And they did wear sandals, but there was this one professor, I think his name was Heinz Doofenshmirtz, and he created shoelaces in order to keep his sandals on his feet during the intense heat. The heat would often melt the flaps or the straps of one's sandals. So he created shoelaces. There were these things made out of, I think it was cotton at the time, and they were the only material that didn't melt in the sun. Of course, back then, everyone thought he was crazy. I mean, it was Doofenshmirtz. If you've watched Phineas and Ferb, you know how crazy everyone thinks he is. But really and truly, his invention has changed not only his generation, but future generations. How many shoes do you have today that don't have shoelaces? Not many. If they don't have shoelaces, they have a shoelace alternative. I'm going to stop there. But for example, I didn't know what I was saying. I was completely making it up. But you take pauses for effect. You never just stop. I said 1563. That date came at random, but you never just stop. You pause for effect. You pause to allow your mind to think of something that you're going to say next. Even if you're making it up, worst case scenario, you're making it up. You never, ever stop. You always just pause. I don't know why I did that. Pause. Anyway, good. So we've got the book, we've got the fist, we've got the stop sign. Anything else?
Is the walking person like moving around too much?
Okay, moving around too much. So I think Ora asked me to repeat the question. The question is just, what are the common mispractices when it comes to delivering a speech? So things that people think we should do, but we actually shouldn't do. So really good. This one is moving about the stage too much. I don't know why, I don't know who started this, but everyone thinks that walking up and down the stage is really effective when you're delivering a speech. It can be, but remember, your audience's eyes and their head and their gaze and their body is focused on you. At least you hope it is. So imagine you're walking up and down the stage and their head kind of has to follow you the whole time. It creates like an atmosphere of kind of jittering amongst the audience, which detracts focus from you and what you're saying. Imagine having to do this the whole time like you're watching a tennis match. That's not effective, that's not it. What you want to do is stand still where it makes sense to. So if I'm delivering a more serious speech, I'll probably stand still. I want the whole attention. I want all of your focus. I want your eye contact on me. Don't even turn your head left or right. You look at me because I am speaking. I'm commanding the stage with my presence. Walking up and down too much shares your presence with the stage itself. You want all the attention on yourself. Of course, if it's more of an energetic vibe and you kind of want to get the audience hyped, then of course, move up and down a bit. That is the purpose. You want the audience to be energetic and hyped and a bit restless. But when you're delivering a speech on something serious, you want to stand still. You want your presence to really command the room and command the stage. Don't share your presence with the stage. It's all you. Excellent. Any other ideas? We've got the mirror and this little thing left.
I think that one is when you're like gazing around the room too much and not focusing on your speech.
Good. This one is eye contact. So of course, we all know that when you're delivering a speech, you don't want to stare anyone down and just look at one person. You want to kind of look around the room. But looking around the room doesn't mean darting your eyes from left to right. Typically, when we want to look around the room, we think, okay, I need to give every single person eye contact. So I'm going to look at this person and this person and this person and this person and this person. And even if you don't realize it, your eyes are darting back and forth across the stage. You look nervous. You look like you're sizing everyone up in the audience. What you want to do is you want your eyes to kind of gloss over the audience. You don't even need to look at anyone directly. You can if you want to, for moments of like intensity. But you want to glaze and glide and glide across the audience. You don't want to dart. Don't look left. Oh, I haven't looked right in a bit. Look right. Oh my gosh, I haven't looked at the back. Let me look at the back. Your eyes are darting. Again, we've got a tennis match going on. You just want your eyes to glaze over the entire audience. Very good. And lastly, this one, we've got a mirror here. Any ideas? It is hot. Any ideas for the mirror before I return to my elevator music?
That maybe don't practice in front of it.
Okay, so that's practicing in front of the mirror. I mean, it depends on the person. I think it's a really good technique, especially before you're ready to practice in front of a large crowd, because you can actually see yourself and what you're doing, and you can notice, okay, my body language is off, my eyes are darting about a bit, I'm just reading from the script. So I think practicing in front of the mirror is actually quite good. So it's not quite that. Any other ideas?
Maybe you're focusing on yourself too much.
That's a good one. So focusing on yourself too much, that's a very good one. You don't want to overthink. It wasn't supposed to be that, but I think that's a good suggestion. Anything else?
Could it be like having nothing in your eyes and just being like glazed over?
Yeah, I mean, if you can control the glossiness of your eyes, then yeah, that would be a good suggestion as well. It's not quite what I was thinking. This is quite a difficult one, so I might just give it to you, but I'll wait. See if anyone else has one more suggestion. Y'all gonna make me do the robot if nobody else suggests anything. Alright, so this one is mirroring the audience. You never want to mirror the audience. Everyone thinks this is a good thing to do because, you know, yeah, me and the audience were synchronized. No. You mirroring the audience will lead to an endless cycle because you mirror the audience, then the audience mirrors you, then you mirror the audience. So imagine they are very low energy. So then you decide to be low energy. Then they're feeding off your energy and they're like, wow, I need to be even more low energy because this is low energy. And it's an endless cycle of low energy. Alternatively, if your audience is extremely hype, then you're getting even hyper. Then they're even hyper and everyone's like, ah, and you've forgotten what you're actually supposed to be speaking about. You are the conductor, okay? This is your performance, it's your stage. You are conducting the audience. You tell them how they should respond to you. If you want energy, you keep up the energy. Even if your audience is not responding at the moment, give them time, let them warm up. Even if they never respond physically, in their heads, they're probably on the same energy level as you. You don't mirror the audience will mirror you. You don't let the audience conduct you, you conduct the audience. Remember, you are the conductor. You tell them how hyped to be. You tell them how serious to be. You tell them how much to focus. Naturally, they will mirror you. Whenever you're having a conversation with someone, you might notice that once they're looking at you and really taking in what you're saying, they start to mirror your body language. So if I was to lean in a conversation, I would notice that the other person leans in because they are mirroring me. I should not be mirroring them. So remember, you are the conductor. Do not mirror your audience. You tell your audience what level to be on. Does that all make sense? Thumbs up, please, if it does. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We love to see it. Perfect. Okay, so let's move on. How to deliver the perfect speech. Okay. So we're gonna go through okay, perfect. So does anyone have any ideas as to what any of these might mean? How to deliver the perfect speech?
Be aware of the time.
Good. Be aware of your time. Keep to time. A speech that is much shorter than it should be is almost as bad as a speech that is much longer than it should be. You want to keep to time. Your audience are expecting something, you want to deliver. Keep to time. Very good. Any other one?
Voice control.
Pardon?
Voice control.
Good. This one is about voice control, your intonation. If I'm delivering a speech and I'm just talking like this and I'm very monotone, I'm sure half of you have probably stepped by now. If you haven't stepped, you probably want to click off. If you don't want to click off, you probably want to pull out your hair because this is really, really boring. This is very monotone. You want to work on the intonation of your voice. Sometimes you might want to, take your voice up a notch just to elaborate and emphasize your point. Sometimes, if what you're saying is quite serious, maybe you want to bring it down a bit. Get your voice a little bit deeper. Either way, you don't want your voice to be monotone. You don't want to speak at the same tone for the whole time. That is boring. You want to engage the audience in what you have to say. So work on the tone of your voice. Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other ideas? So we've got keep into time, the tone of your voice. Anything else?
Your volume.
Volume. Excellent. If I'm whispering like this and I'm not my speech, even if I have perfect speech planned, it's terrible. Did you guys catch that? I'm assuming you didn't. If you're delivering a speech, even if you have the perfect speech planned, but your volume is so low that no one can help you, that no one can hear you, sorry, you might as well have just stayed behind stage. Everyone needs to be able to hear your voice. You want to project your voice. This doesn't mean shout, by the way. Shouting will give you a throat ache. You want to project from the stomach up. Project your voice so that everyone in the room can hear what you have to say. The worst thing is when you're saying something and then everyone's like, oh, sorry, I can't hear. Can you say that again? Can you repeat yourself? It just gets rid of the flow. It ruins the flow of your speech. Excellent. Any other ideas?
Is one staying on, wait, whoa, what's it called? Yeah, staying on, point. It's like not, changing
the focus point of your
Good.
speech.
Good. You want to stay on point, keep to the target. There is something you wanted to speak about. If you start going off, of course, anecdotes are good, but when you start wandering off the topic, people are going to forget why they're even listening to your speech. Sometimes it's helpful, especially if you've forgotten what you need to say and you need to kind of drift a little bit to get you back into center. But remember the point of why you're delivering this speech. What are you trying to convey? What is the point of you being there and talking to your audience? Very good. So never forget the point of your speech. Why are you talking? Excellent. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 covered. Any more guesses?
I'd say dress appropriately.
Okay, dress appropriately is a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. It's not one that I've thought about. I guess dressing appropriately makes sense for the occasion. That's natural. I guess it's not particular to public speaking. Unless, of course, you're wearing like noisy jewelry and stuff. You want everyone to be able to hear you. So yeah, maybe dress appropriately. So we'll take that as one meaning to this picture, but I also have another meaning to it.
Look confident.
Good. Confidence. Look confident, feel confident, be confident. That is literally the order of events. You want your body language to scream confidence. You want your body language to scream that this is your stage. This is my speech. You're going to listen to what I have to say because I'm confident with it. For anyone who maybe struggles with confidence when it comes to going on stage, which would be most of us, as I said earlier, you're never going to stop being nervous completely. A good technique is roughly 5 minutes before your speech, just stand in position. So I want you to have your legs shoulder width apart, so your feet shoulder width apart, your fists or your hands on your hips, your shoulders back, chin up, keep your eye at eye level, and just stand like that in a powerful position. Or whatever a powerful position is to you, stand like that for a few minutes and just let yourself bask in the power. And that will tell your mind that you feel comfortable, you feel confident, you feel powerful, and hopefully that should seep into your performance. That should seep into your speech. That powerful feeling hopefully will not leave you. Very good. I'll take one more guess for any of the others and then I'll tell you what the rest are.
Would it be that you should make everything flow, like, and connect the puzzle pieces?
So that's a good one. So you kind of want to make it connect, but that's more this point. This one is actually about connecting with your audience. Remember, you're a conductor. A conductor does not just give his band a music sheet or give his or her band a music sheet and leave them be. A conductor is there to make sure that every piece is working in harmony. Every piece goes high when it needs to be, goes low when it needs to be, is loud when it needs to be, is quiet when it needs to be. You need to connect with your audience and guide your audience. You can do that explicitly by telling them, you know, make some noise or whatever, or you can do it implicitly through your body language, through your gaze, through your tone. If I start speaking to you like this, I'm sure you'll think that what I'm saying is a lot more serious, and for that reason, you'll look at me, you'll stop your moving, you'll really try and take it in. I'm connecting with the audience and showing the audience, listen, you mirror what I'm doing. We're going to be a puzzle. We're all going to work together to make sure that this speech comes out as it should, to make sure that you receive my speech as you should. Very good. So this one here with the arrows is about movement. So you want to move with purpose if you are going to move, but remember the center of the stage. You should be the center. And if you are going to move, move with purpose. Don't move because you're nervous. Don't let your nerves guide your movement. The purpose should guide your movement. This one here is about being knowledgeable. Remember, you need to know what you're talking about. Be knowledgeable on your speech. Research the topics. If you're hosting an event, know what you're hosting and why you're hosting it. This one here is about vocal warm-ups. If you're going to be speaking for a particularly long time, warm up your voice like a singer would. Remember, you too need to use intonation. And you need to vary the tone in your voice. So warm it up. Make sure your voice doesn't crack midway through the speech. Here, this one is about language. So tailor your language to your audience. Sometimes if you have a younger audience, you might want to use some certain type of language. If you have an older audience, a different type of language. If you're speaking to professionals within a specific field, again, a different type of language. You want to tailor your language to your audience as they are the ones receiving the speech. Then here we have eye contact. Remember, glaze across the audience. Don't have your eyes darting from person to person, but rather glide across the audience. And lastly, we have this one, which I kind of want you to guess. Does anyone know who is the most important person when it comes to delivering a speech?
You are the speaker.
So you are important, but you're not the most important.
Wait, the audience.
The audience.
Who in the audience, though?
Everyone.
Okay, everyone. Any other ideas?
The front row. Or the back row. The back row has to be able to hear you.
Oh yeah, back row.
The person right at the back is the most important person when it comes to delivering your speech. If the person at the back can hear you, everyone else can hear you. The person at the back can see you, everyone else can see you. The person at the back is getting the hand gestures that you're giving, everyone else is getting the hand gestures that you're giving. Remember, the person at the back is the most important person. You want to make sure that they can hear you, see you, understand you, they can read your presentation or whatever you've got. If they can, then everyone else can. And with that, I think that is all. I probably will have time maybe to take 1 or 2 questions. So I'm going to stop my screen share. And are there any questions? If no questions, I'll literally spend the last 3 minutes just doing elevator music. So it's up to you guys, really. Any questions?
I might ask you a question about you, in terms of how you started getting into presenting, doing speeches, interviewing, all this kind of thing.
Yeah, so I actually did the CACvocYouth Speak Out Challenge in year 10. So I don't know if you've heard of it, but they come to your school and they basically give like a public speaking workshop, and then you have to write a speech and deliver it. And all of that happens within like 2 hours. And then if you're selected, you go through to the final, then you have to deliver a speech in front of a large crowd. So I did that, and I remember I used to in primary school have a stammer. So it was really frustrating when you want to speak and nothing is coming out and you're literally like stuck. So when the CACvocYouth thing came around, of course this was a few years, like many years later, but the kind of fear of public speaking was still in my head, and like, what if I choke? What if I stop? What if I have a stammer again? But then I remember seeing the audience, and like all my friends and family in the audience, and I was like, these guys want to see me win. This is like a conversation with the people around me. So let me just push through. Let me give it my all. Let me act as if I'm speaking to my friends and family, but I'm really passionate about what I'm speaking about. And then through that, I was able to like kind of slightly overcome the fear. Then after that, it was just practice. It was kind of going to events, seeing what public speakers were doing that to me was really good. Like whenever there's a good host, I always think it's amazing. Like I always really acknowledge a good host or a good speaker. When I was watching the TEDx events, sometimes I'll see a host that's really good and they engage me more than the speaker does. So I would all kind of mentally note what they did well. And then I guess from there, it would just practice. And by the grace of God, being asked to speak at certain events. And that enabled me to, again, practice and hone in on my skills. And yes, we're still going, still a journey, still learning. But hopefully I've been able to impart some of my knowledge with you all. But yes, any other questions? Thank you, Claire.
It's not a question. I just want to say it was a really good talk, Esther. Really interactive and really made us think about things.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
How often do you do like your vocal warm-ups when you're starting up?
How often do I do what?
Your vocal warm-ups, like.
So I never used to do vocal warm-ups until I did the TEDx event. So I hosted TEDx Oxford, and there was a speaker that came in. She was a vocal coach, and she basically made us do warm-ups. And I was hosting that for like half a day. So it was a lot of speaking, a lot of going up and down. But I realized that my throat was a lot less tired than it would be in an event where I was maybe speaking for like 10 minutes. So from there, I just started regularly doing vocal warm-ups before a speech or before I'm doing a presentation. Today, I didn't do vocal warm-ups, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the pain. So I would recommend vocal warm-ups if you're ever going to speak in public, or if you're ever worried about your voice cracking. Or there's this thing that people tend to do. You know when you're speaking, and then at the end of it, you kind of just drift off like, yeah. No, you want to keep that volume. You want to keep that stamina. You want to keep that going, and vocal warm-ups can really help with that. That's another thing I'll say. Never trail off towards the end of what you're saying. Even if what you're saying, you've made it up and you don't know if it's correct. Don't trail off. Have that confidence throughout. If I started my sentence with this volume, I'm going to end it with this volume. Do not trail off. That's a sign of a lack of confidence. Say it with vim. Say it with your chest. If you're wrong, what's the worst that can happen? You're wrong. That's it. But keep the vim. Keep it going. That went off topic. But anyway. And on that note, time's up. Thank you all very much for coming to this session. I really do hope you took something away from it. If you want to message me or get in contact with me, feel free to do so. Feel free to send me a private message on here. But really, huge thank you. And thank you for being interactive. I really appreciate it. And it's necessary for the presentation to work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It was really good.
You were great. You were great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll wait for everyone to go back to the main room. So just leave the room. Just leave the breakout room when you're ready. Thank you. Claire, can you go? Oh boy, it is hot in here.